Kia ora, welcome to another Aotearoa Rugby Pod, and it's a pleasure to welcome onto the show Neil Barnes, All Blacks assistant coach, selector. Neil, a hell of a thing to put together this squad. A lot of people, a lot of games. How do you go about putting it together? What's the process?
At the end of the day, we looked at the games themselves and the challenges they'll provide. And then we just had to add some more people around the squad that we had because we're pretty happy with the group that we've had for the first 3 test matches. And then some people that could add to it would have pointed a difference, running more of the same that we've already got. I guess at the end of the day, people look at the selection on the loose forwards, and Duplessis probably the one that's unlucky. But we've already got 3 or 4 people that cover 7, and we wanted a forward that with a point of difference, and I guess that's Messi at the end of the day at the moment. And then when we look really closely at Blackadder's game, he's been really, really good. The latter part of super season when he came back, and he's earned his call. So, and he can play a couple of positions as well. So, yeah, they're people that will help in a South African environment, playing against their sides, and fitted the dynamics of what we've already got.
The flexibility seems a big thing. Rassi and his squad named utility forwards as one segment of his name instead of the usual props, locks, loosies, hookers, etc. And it seems with your loose forward selections, utility is quite important.
Yeah, mate, if you're a specialist and you're the best at it, you're still going to make the team. Let's be clear there. And we will pick the best players. But some of them have got two or three strings to their bow, which is important, but they've got to have a point of difference to be an All Black. You can't just be a run-of-the-mill player. And I think that's just one of those things. We're at that level.
The public love Duplessis Karifi. I was wondering if you could explain how he fits or doesn't fit within the squad.
Well, let's make one thing quite clear. Duplessis is a very good rugby player. We chose another person in that position on merit because we thought he had what it took to handle the games at that level. We've got 2 boys there that I think could honestly be specialist 7s that have played other positions and go very well there and can compete with Dupes as far as the breakdown work goes. So, yeah, we don't make those decisions lightly, but let's not underestimate how good Duplessis is. Like I say, you're at All Black level. There's other people that are good as well. He's had a really good season leading the Hurricanes, and so I can understand the way the public feel, but I put all the emotions and that sort of thing aside and pick what I think will add to an All Black team.
When you looked at putting this whole thing together, do you guys consult a Warren Gatland or a John Hart or people who've kind of been involved in these international tours with midweek games in and amongst test matches?
Yeah, absolutely. Like Renz has bing big on that. Bringing Graham Henry to start, or Sir Graham or Ted, whatever you want to call him, has been massive for us. And yes, he has consulted with those guys to learn from their experiences. So, yeah, he's not backward about listening to other people to see if there's anything to gain from their experiences. Would be fools if we didn't. So to answer your question, yes, he has.
What kind of lessons do you think you guys learned from them? Was there any points in particular that you grasped onto?
Renz hasn't shared that because that's happened in our little week we've just had off now. So I guess when we come together this afternoon, he'll be sharing some of that. But we've already looked at our games and how they've run things in the past with teams and whether we're going to have everyone still vying for the test team or having 2 separate teams and discussing the pros and cons of each. So haven't arrived in one place yet, but I think at the early stage, I think Dave's already indicated that everyone will be competing for the test team. So everyone will play.
It's not just the coaches that I suppose are managing that. The players also who are kind of used to a 7-day week without something in the middle of it, they've also got to adjust, don't they? They've got to learn this process and how to adapt.
Yeah, and we haven't got a lot of time, so we won't be complicating it. The team will be preparing for a game and there'll be another one preparing for one, 3 or 4 days after that. So it's going to have its challenges and we'll sit down and get a bit more serious about that now, to be honest, of how we're going to make all that work. But we've already had a little look at how we might manage the teams for the first 2 or 3 games anyway. So we're sort of a step ahead on that one.
And some of those players might have to double dip, whether it's a start and the bench or whatever along the way.
I guess people look at the size of the squad and think, sure, that's a lot of people. But, you're playing in Africa, it's going to be pretty damn physical. They're big men. So you've got to cover yourself. It's a bit far to go to reach out to someone and fly there in 4 or 5 days and think you're going to get on the paddock and perform.
Yeah, even we sat down and we tried to put together teams across the week, across each week. And geez, it was hard. It was so hard to balance. It was so hard to find experience in a place with the inexperience and making that all work together. It's a hell of a challenge.
And we've been chipping away at this for a little while. Every bit of downtime we had, which wasn't much in the last test series, we were chipping away at this work as well to get ahead for where we're at now. So it's not like we're starting from scratch. We've got a pretty good idea of what we're doing.
Well, thank you very much for your time, Barnsley. Good luck for the
Not a
trip.
problem. Thank you very much.
Right, so Jip, looking at that interview, let's start off with Karifi. Obviously, he's the big talking point. What did you make of what Barnsley had to say?
I think from what I can see of it, there's something clearly we're obviously missing in terms of, like, they analyse the game to the nth degree, like way more than we ever would. And there's obviously more to it than just versatility. I think that is the way it's probably come across. But the way he spoke about it is, if you're the best in your specialist position, you will be picked. Now, you look at Luke Jacobson starting at 7, then you've got Segner who can play there, you've got Lakai who can play there, and if you look at the frame, I think and the style is different, and that for them clearly just doesn't fit in. And you look at, if there is an injury, you still get the feeling maybe a Leo Willie or a Lucas Casey is next in line. And so from, I think the public, and du Plessis is hard not to love. Like, I love him as a player. I love watching him. I think he's busy, both sides of the ball, and I think he's physical. Like, if you look at statistically, he wins gain line, both sides of the ball, gets turnovers at the breakdown. But there's, to the whole picture of their game plan, he's obviously he's not fitting some sort of mould.
Yeah, it's interesting. As far as the new players are concerned, I think they were very clear on Tupou Taialoa providing a point of difference.
Yeah, and I think it's like there's an element to, I think they know, I think with these 10 players, it's also about 18 months' time and learning a bit about them. And in the sense that they know du Plessis is going to be fit to the nth degree and ready to rock and roll. They know a lot about him. There's a lot of footy. I think there is an element of, for this coaching group, potentially having an understanding of, Semesi and where they can grow him, and where, I suppose, if you look at a resourcing point of view, he's going to go from, the Southland Stags, Moana Pacifica, to the All Blacks, which is resource to the nth degree. We're talking nutrition, we're talking S&C. The growth of him being in and around this environment, and he's a learner, because you just see every time he's stepped up into another environment, he's delivered. So I think there's an element of that in terms of, in 18 months' time, winning a World Cup, what impact he can have. And then, he'll get some good minutes playing opposition that he hasn't played before, like the old tours of South Africa don't happen, and it's a different style, and he's a physical player. And I think you'll learn a lot about how physical, because, the South Africans will bring fire with fire.
A few of the other ones, I suppose, when we look at the mould, when I saw Tavatava Nawai, my first thought was he doesn't necessarily fit within the mould that I expect of a Rennie selection, in that he's great over the ball, he does make line breaks and stuff, but his stats as far as repeat efforts aren't as strong as necessarily some of the other players.
Yeah, and I think it probably fits into exactly what I just said. He's got a big ceiling. We know how great he can be and how good he is when the ball is around him. I think his growth will be under this group is getting, I suppose, his aerobic capacity to have more back-to-back efforts and understand what they're looking for. Again, I'm thinking 18 months' time, because if you can get him to the ability to have more involvements, more touches of the ball, we've seen he can dictate terms. He basically bet the Blues, even when they had 13 players 2 years ago, on his own, with turnovers, 50-22s, big carries. So the more he can get his hands on the ball, the more he can follow up with double efforts. We spoke about in the July series, you watch Damian and Geordie, they'll make a pass and then they're looping, just in case. There's no rhyme or reason, but then it's distracting defenders and creating opportunities. So I think, if anyone's, got the potential to grow their stocks in this tour, is definitely Big Jim.
Now, we said in the podcast that we felt that maybe they were a lock short. Barnsley said to me that he's more than happy with the locking stocks that they've got, even, when you get to that midweek game between the tests. So they obviously need cover. He said that they've got enough big loose forwards there that he feels if at a pinch they need to do it, they will. So I'm presuming that's Parker.
Has to be. Potentially maybe, we saw Jerome move in there. Wallace Satiti's big enough to fit in there, but Parker's 197 centimetres. He's a big boy. Like and he's an engine worker. He's a worker, which suits the lock mould. His skill set is strong enough. So, and I don't think you'd lose too much at line out time. So to me, he'd be their guy. But I think they've probably planned up to test one, and then it's going to be how the bodies are and understanding all that, what injuries are there, who's getting sent home, is anyone getting sent home, are they all sort of rocking and rolling? That will sort of dictate terms there. But looking at that Lions game, I think after 2 big tests, and then you've got that midweeker, and then the third, and you've still got Baltimore to come, you're probably going to have a few bodies on ice.
The other interesting thing about what he said was, I asked him about who they're dipping into as far as knowledge. And of course, Graham Henry, who I'd forgotten about within the podcast, has coached the Lions. He knows all about managing that.
True.
But he's acknowledged that Dave Rennie's had some other meetings. So he has spoken with John Hart. He's spoken with other people to really get into it. And now he's going to go out and brief his team on approaching this.
Yeah, and I think for the players, I think there's about 11 or 12 of the 96 team going in before they depart. And I think it's for the players to connect and understand and learn as well through osmosis almost, just asking questions and understanding what they took out of it. And out of that 11 or 12, it's not all the big dogs. Like it's a lot of the players that probably only didn't even play a test and only played a few of the midweek games, and understanding that role and dealing with that disappointment. And so I think they're doing a really, really strong job of preparing everyone mentally to be able to hit the ground running and not have any emotive, even look at Barnsley's interview, there's none of this. It's straight line, and I think they're wanting to create a group that's straight line, like, okay, I'm not selected, sweet, what do I do to get this team ready? Okay, I am selected for the midweekers. Man, I'm wearing an All Black jersey, let's rip in. So I think they're very methodical in their planning and very methodical in their process. And I think they've got themselves in a really good spot, and they've sought knowledge, rather than sort of just saying we know what we think we should do. They've sought knowledge from many different parts. That's going to set them up to succeed.
Now, our Athletech question of the week comes in from Isaac Addison, and Isaac, you'll be in the draw to win the creatine, the protein, all of those other supplements from Athletech. Head to the website, there's a QR code right here. Isaac's question really is about DMAC. He says, DMAC at 15, he has the time and space to make the most of his runs, his speed and his elusiveness. Oddly, it's a bit like Will Jordan on the wing, where they seem to play with a bit more freedom versus their preferred position. This is a really important opportunity for Damian McKenzie, isn't it? Because he's now, for the first time in his career, probably consolidated his spot in the All Blacks starting 15. And do it well in Africa, and come the World Cup, he's the fullback.
Yep, absolutely. And I mean, I compared him to watching Cullen because he's playing off the cuff. He's got a game plan that allows him to do it with a smile. And yes, his preferred position before this coaching group might have been 10. I think he now believes, I'm going to be the world's best fullback.
Yeah.
You can see it on it. That's the position he wants. He's probably now thinking, I'll cover 10, but 15 is my role now, and he is thriving in it. And I think that's been the biggest shift for him in terms of his mindset around it, is that it's always been like, I want to be 10, I'll play fullback if I have to be, but I think now he's hungry. He wants 15 on his back because this environment, this game plan absolutely suits his instincts. And because 15 creates time for him, the more time that Damian McKenzie can see weakness, is the more time he'll take. I mean, look at the amount of carries he had against Ireland because he just injected himself into the game. And he's almost got the license to search for it. Sometimes when you've got a really rigid game plan, and I think this is where all these players are thriving because it allows instinct for 80% of it. So when you've got a real rigid game plan, one of the lessons you've got to do is if the ball's not coming your way, don't break the system, because you're there for a reason to sort of take away from defenders' attention and so forth. But I think that's what makes this group really hard to analyse, is because I think majority of the team is like, you see opportunity, take opportunity. And if it's not coming your way, go find it. Go have back-to-back tethers. Like the amount of loop arounds, even from forwards when a pass is given, it just shows that they're on to the next job, and it's about creating chaos. And it's about being calm in that chaos, and it's creating opportunity and having good voice. And it's just played right into Damian's hands. And I'd go back to what I said after the first test. What a difference it makes when someone says, I believe in you. You're my guy.
Yeah.
And that's what it looks like.
And they seem to be doing that across the board pretty well.
Yeah. And I think when you're not playing well, they're also going, I still believe in you, still love you, but I need to see improvement in this. And that's fulfilling in itself as well, because then you're like, I know what I've got to get better at. And then I'm going to go work at it, and I'm going to put myself back in the equation.
And it'll be interesting to see how that works when you add in the midweek element of this tour, because that's another thing altogether, isn't it? It's like, we're backing you for this game.
Yeah.
But you want to play in this game.
Yeah.
So
well, show us what you got.
Show us what, yeah.
And like, I think, it's going to be the hard thing for that group is, but I think the game plan, because it's not a rigid game plan, although they might not have played a lot together with those midweek teams, see hole, hit it.
Yep.
See space, kick it. See the halfback in the line defensively, chip it. See space up the middle, pick it through the middle. It's not like you're going to be punished for making a decision.
Yeah.
It's like, because everyone's on edge and you sort of don't know where the next thing's going, you're ready. You're on your toes the whole game because that's your mindset. It's not, we're trying to slow things down or manipulate it. It's go, 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 which creates a lot of opportunity for you to shine, but also it doesn't create a cliff for you to fall off by over trying, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Whereas when it's very rigid and it's very, robotic, and your processes, that if you make a mistake in those sorts of systems, you can be shown up very quickly and shepherd a hook out the back.
Out you go. Well, thank you again for joining us on some Aotearoa Rugby Pod content. You can get us at Aotearoa Rugby Pod official channels on YouTube, across Audio Pod, across socials. You can get us on stuff.co.nz. You can get us on Rugby Pass. And please make sure you send us an email, arp@fandommedia.co.nz, and we'll put you into the draw for the Athletech questions. We keep the old questions and we pull them out later when we find the right time and the right place. So if you send us an email before, it might still come out. Thank you very much. We'll catch you again soon. Mā te wā.